They forgot my birthday again. Not accidentally, not because they were busy, not because something terrible happened. They forgot because, in my family, remembering me had always been optional. I realized it at 7:43 that evening, standing outside my parents' house with a grocery store cake melting slightly in my hands, watching through the front window as my family raised champagne glasses for my brother. There were balloons in the living room, gold ones, black ones, a banner stretched across the fireplace that said, "Congratulations, Ethan!" My mother was crying happy tears. My father was clapping him on the back like he had personally discovered electricity. My sister Lauren was filming everything for Instagram, panning slowly across the room, making sure everyone could see the expensive catering, the flowers, the polished silver trays, the perfect family moment. And me? I was outside, holding my own birthday cake, because no one had invited me to the party happening on my birthday. At first, I thought maybe I had misunderstood. Maybe they had planned something for me after Ethan's celebration. Maybe they had mixed up the dates. Maybe there was some normal explanation that wouldn't make me feel 12 years old again, waiting at the kitchen table while my mother said, "Sweetheart, your brother had a big day. We'll do something for you tomorrow." But then I saw it. On the dining table, between the champagne and the flowers, there was another cake. A real one. 3 layers, custom frosting, gold lettering. For Ethan, our pride and joy. That was the moment something inside me went completely quiet. Not angry, not dramatic. Quiet. Because anger still means you expect better, and I didn't. I stood there for almost a full minute, watching them celebrate my brother's promotion. The promotion I had helped him get. Actually, no, that's too polite. The promotion he had gotten because of work I had done. For 6 months, I had been quietly fixing his department's financial reporting problems at night. He said he was overwhelmed. He said he would lose his job. He said Mom and Dad would be devastated if their golden boy failed in front of everyone. So, I helped. I built the system. I cleaned the data. I wrote the internal report. I even coached him on how to present it. And now he was inside, accepting praise for his brilliance, while my birthday sat forgotten in a plastic box in my hands. Then my phone buzzed. For one stupid second, I hoped it was my mother. It was Ethan. He had sent a text. "You coming or not? Mom says don't make it weird tonight. Big day for me." I stared at the message until the words blurred. Don't make it weird. That was always the job they gave me. Absorb the insult, smile through it, stay small. Don't make it weird. I turned around and walked back to my car. I didn't cry. Not then. I placed the cake on the passenger seat, started the engine, and drove away while my family celebrated behind glowing windows. I didn't know it yet, but that forgotten birthday was not the worst thing they would do to me. It was just the day I finally stopped protecting them. And by the time they realized what they had lost, my mother would be begging outside my office. My father would be calling me ungrateful on speakerphone, and Ethan would be sitting across from a board of directors trying to explain why his greatest achievement had my name hidden inside the code. But that night, I only knew one thing. I was done showing up for people who only remembered me when they needed something. My name is Claire Whitmore, and this is the story of how my family forgot my birthday and accidentally gave me my freedom. The cake was still beside me when I pulled into the parking lot of my apartment building. It looked ridiculous under the dashboard light. Small, cheap, a little smashed on one side from the drive. The bakery had written, "Happy Birthday, Claire," in uneven blue frosting because I had ordered it last minute after spending the entire morning hoping someone else would. That was the embarrassing part. Not that they forgot, that I had still hoped they wouldn't. I carried the cake upstairs and set it on my kitchen counter. My apartment was quiet. Too quiet. No balloons, no messages, no surprise. Just a blinking microwave clock and a sink with one coffee mug in it. I opened my phone. No missed calls from my parents. No birthday message from Lauren. No, sorry, we forgot. Nothing. There were, however, 37 new notifications in the family group chat. I tapped it open, even though I knew I shouldn't. Lauren had posted photos from Ethan's party. Ethan holding champagne. Mom hugging him. Dad lifting his glass. A catered dinner spread that looked more expensive than my monthly groceries. Then Lauren posted a video. I pressed play. My mother's voice filled my kitchen. To our wonderful son, Ethan, you have always made this family proud. You've worked so hard, and tonight proves that good things happen to people who deserve them. People laughed. Ethan smiled. Then my father said, some kids need pushing. Some kids need saving. But Ethan was born ready. Everyone clapped. I watched the video twice, not because I wanted to punish myself, because something about my father's words hooked into me. Some kids need saving. That was what they thought I was. The unstable one. The difficult one. The daughter who made life complicated by having feelings. My brother made mistakes and got support. I made sacrifices and got silence. The phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. For half a second, my chest tightened. Then I saw the message. Claire, please don't be dramatic about tonight. Your brother needed support. We'll do your birthday another time. Another time. There it was. The official family policy on me. Postponed. Rescheduled. Less urgent. I typed 3 different replies. It's fine. Don't worry. I understand. My fingers hovered over the screen. Then I deleted them all. For the first time in my life, I didn't make it easy for her. I put the phone face down on the counter. Then I took 1 fork from the drawer, opened the cake box, and ate 1 bite directly from the corner. It was too sweet. The frosting stuck to the roof of my mouth, and suddenly, stupidly, I started laughing. Not happy laughter, the kind that comes out when your body is choosing between breaking and waking up. I laughed because I had bought myself a birthday cake and then carried it to a party where no one remembered I existed. I laughed because I had spent 6 months helping Ethan look competent, and my reward was being told not to make things weird. I laughed because I was 32 years old, and my family still had the power to make me feel like a child standing outside a locked room. Then the laughter stopped, and in the silence that followed, I made a decision so calmly it almost scared me. I opened my laptop. I logged into my personal cloud storage, and I created a folder. I named it Ethan, Project Records. Then I started uploading everything. Every late-night spreadsheet, every email where Ethan asked me for help, every version of the financial model I had built, every message where he wrote things like, "Can you make this look like I understand it? Can you simplify this so I can present it? Don't tell anyone you helped, okay?" Dad would never let me hear the end of it. At first, I only meant to save the files. Proof, I told myself, just in case. But as the upload bar moved across the screen, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Control. For once, the truth was not living only inside my memory. It was organized, time-stamped, backed up, real. I was still uploading files when my phone rang. Ethan. I let it ring. He called again, then again. On the 4th call, I answered. "What?" I said. There was noise behind him, music, laughter, my family still celebrating. "Where did you go?" Ethan asked, annoyed. not concerned, annoyed. Home. You were here? I was outside. A pause. Oh. That was all. Not, I'm sorry, not, happy birthday, just, oh. Then he lowered his voice. Listen, don't start anything. Mom is already stressed. I looked at the laptop screen. 93% uploaded. Why would she be stressed? I asked. Because you're sensitive. I closed my eyes. There it was again, the word they used whenever I noticed the truth. Sensitive. Not hurt, not disrespected, not ignored. Sensitive. Ethan continued, Look, tonight was important. The promotion is a big deal. You know how Dad gets. I know exactly how Dad gets. So just come tomorrow or something. Mom said she'll get cupcakes. Cupcakes? For my 32nd birthday. After the 3-layer cake for him. I almost laughed again. Instead, I said, Did you tell them I built the reporting system? Silence. The background noise seemed to fade. What? The system your boss praised you for. The one that got you promoted. Did you tell them I built it? His voice sharpened. Claire. That's not an answer. Don't do this. Do what? Act like you're the victim because I needed help. I stood up from the kitchen chair slowly. You didn't need help, Ethan. You needed a ghostwriter for your career. That is not fair. No, what's not fair is standing outside my parents' house on my birthday, holding a cake I bought for myself while everyone cheers for work I did. He exhaled hard. God, you always make everything about you. I looked around my empty kitchen. The cake, the laptop, the dark window reflecting my face back at me. Not anymore, I said. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm done. His tone changed slightly, just slightly. What did you do? That question told me everything. Innocent people ask, What are you talking about? Guilty people ask, What did you do? I smiled for the first time all night. Happy promotion, Ethan. Then I hung up. The upload finished. 100%. I didn't sleep much that night. Not because I was crying, because my mind had finally started putting pieces together. The forgotten birthdays, the missed graduations, the money my parents always seemed to find for Ethan, but never for me. The way my mother called me selfish whenever I set a boundary. The way my father only called when something needed fixing. The way Ethan had learned to treat my time like family property. By 3 a.m, I had made coffee and opened a spreadsheet. Not for Ethan, for myself. I listed every unpaid hour I had spent helping my family over the past 10 years. Fixing taxes for my parents. Writing Lauren's business plan. Helping Ethan with applications, reports, presentations. Covering bills. Loaning money that was never called a loan once it left my account. At first, the numbers felt petty. Then they started to look like a crime scene. $2,400 for Ethan's certification course. $1,100 for Lauren's emergency car repair. $5,000 I gave Mom after Dad's temporary cash flow problem. $18,000 in unpaid consulting work for Ethan's department if I valued my time at even half my real rate. By sunrise, the total was over $41,000, and that didn't include the emotional cost. At 7:12 a.m., my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. She left one. I listened while brushing my teeth. Claire, sweetheart, I don't know what Ethan told you, but you really embarrassed him last night. He said you accused him of stealing your work. I hope that isn't true. We raised you better than that. Your brother has worked very hard, and this jealousy is not a good look on you. Call me when you're ready to be reasonable. Jealousy. That word hit differently, because for years I had wondered if maybe they were right. Maybe I was jealous. Maybe I resented Ethan because he got the easier version of our parents. Maybe I was bitter. But standing there with toothpaste foam in my mouth and my mother's voicemail playing through the speaker, I finally understood something. Jealousy is wanting what someone else has. I didn't want Ethan's life. I wanted my own to stop being used as raw material for his. That morning, I did something I had been avoiding for 2 years. I opened the email from Meridian Analytics. Meridian was a mid-sized business intelligence firm that had tried to recruit me twice. Their last offer had come 3 months earlier after a former colleague recommended me. Better title, better salary, remote flexibility, equity. I turned it down because Ethan had begged me not to leave my current job yet. His department needed just a little more support. He said once he got promoted, he would put in a word for me. A word. As if I needed his permission to have a future. I found the recruiter's email. Her name was Vanessa Cole. I typed, "Hi, Vanessa. I know some time has passed since your last message. If the senior strategy role is still open, I'd be interested in speaking." I paused, then added, "I also have a portfolio of recent work I'd be happy to share." I sent it before I could talk myself out of it. The reply came 11 minutes later. "Claire, the role is still open, and frankly, I was hoping you would reach back out. Are you available today?" I stared at that line for a long moment. I was hoping you would reach back out. Someone had been waiting for me, not needing me, not using me, waiting. I scheduled the call for noon. Then I got dressed in the navy blazer I wore when I needed to remember I was not who my family said I was. At 11:58, I sat at my desk with coffee, notes, and a strange calm in my chest. At 1200, Vanessa appeared on the video call. She had silver-framed glasses, sharp eyes, and the relaxed confidence of someone who did not waste words. "Claire," she said, smiling, "I'm glad you came back." "Me too." "I'll be honest. We reviewed your previous case study again last week. Your modeling work is exceptional." I almost looked behind me. Exceptional. Not helpful. Not sensitive. Not difficult. Exceptional. Vanessa continued, "We're especially interested in the operational risk dashboard you mentioned during your last interview. You said it was confidential at the time, but if you have any non-sensitive version of that work, I'd love to understand your approach." My fingers went cold. The dashboard. Ethan's dashboard. Except it wasn't Ethan's. It was mine. I had built it on my own computer before adapting it for his company. The original framework belonged to me. My logic, my structure, my methodology. "I do," I said carefully. "I created the original model independently before tailoring it for another context." Vanessa leaned forward. "Would you be able to walk me through it?" Yes. For the next 40 minutes, I explained the system, not as Ethan had presented it, as its creator. I explained why traditional reporting failed, how I built early warning indicators, how the dashboard flagged hidden cost leaks before they appeared in quarterly summaries. Vanessa stopped me twice to take notes. At the end of the call, she sat back and said, "Claire, I'm going to move quickly on this. I don't want to lose you again." Again. That word nearly broke me. Because my whole life, my family had acted like I was the one lucky to be included. But outside their house, outside their story, outside the role they gave me, people saw me clearly. By Friday, Meridian made an offer. It was better than I expected. Much better. Base salary nearly double. Performance bonus. Equity package. A leadership path. I read the offer letter 3 times, waiting for someone to knock it out of my hands and say there had been a mistake. No one did. I signed it at my kitchen table, beside the half-eaten birthday cake. Then I sent one more email, to my current employer, my resignation. I gave 2 weeks' notice, professional, clean, no drama. Because the first lesson of leaving people who underestimate you is this: don't announce your escape while they still think they own the door. For 3 days, I told no one in my family. Not because I was hiding, because I wanted to know how long it would take them to contact me without needing something. The answer was 4 days. And even then, it wasn't about my birthday. It wasn't about an apology. It was Ethan. Can you review something quickly? Board meeting moved up. Need the revised version by tomorrow morning. I looked at the message while standing in line for coffee. No please, no apology, no acknowledgement of our last conversation. Just a request. Actually, not even a request, an assignment. I typed, "I'm not available." 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. What do you mean? I mean I'm not available. Claire, stop being childish. This is important. I put my phone away. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from withdrawal. That's what nobody tells you about boundaries. At first, they feel like cruelty, because if you spent your whole life being useful to be loved, saying no feels like becoming a bad person. Ethan called 5 times. I didn't answer. Then my mother called. Then my father. Then Lauren sent a message. Are you seriously punishing everyone because we forgot one birthday? One birthday. I almost replied. I almost sent her the list. The years, the missed dinners, the forgotten calls, the times I showed up for them while they forgot to ask if I was okay. But I didn't. Because proof doesn't matter to people committed to misunderstanding you. At least, not yet. That night, I came home to find my father sitting on the steps outside my apartment building. He looked out of place there. My father was the kind of man who believed showing up in person automatically made him noble. He stood when he saw me. We need to talk. I stopped 3 steps away. About what? Your brother. Of course, not me. Never me. What about him? He has an important board meeting tomorrow. I heard. He says you're refusing to help. I am. My father's jaw tightened. Claire, this is not how family behaves. I laughed once. It came out colder than I intended. You're right. Family usually remembers birthdays. His face changed, but only for a second. Then the old authority returned. Don't be petty. That word slid under my skin. Petty. Small. Unreasonable. Emotional. All the words they used when they wanted me to shrink. I took my keys from my purse. I'm tired, Dad. He stepped closer. You are putting your brother's career at risk. No, I said. He did that when he built a career on work he didn't understand. My father stared at me. For the first time, I saw uncertainty in his eyes. Not guilt. Not yet. Just the beginning of fear. You need to be careful, he said quietly. With what? With these accusations. They're not accusations if they're true. He lowered his voice. Your brother has a future. There it was, the sentence that explained my entire childhood. Your brother has a future, as if I had been born without one. I looked at him for a long moment. Then I said, So do I. He blinked. I walked past him into the building. Behind me, he called my name. I didn't turn around. The next morning, Ethan's board meeting fell apart. I know because by 10:17 a.m., My phone looked like it had been thrown into a fire. Missed calls, messages, voice notes. Mom, what did you do? Dad, call me immediately. Lauren, this is insane. Ethan is freaking out. Ethan, I need the original files. Ethan, Claire. Ethan, pick up. Ethan, I know you have them. I sat at my desk at work, reading each message slowly. Then Ethan sent one that made my blood go still. If you don't help me, I'll tell everyone you tried to sabotage me because you're unstable. Unstable! There it was, the family weapon. They had used it before. When I cried after being excluded. When I got angry about unpaid loans. When I asked why Ethan's emergencies mattered more than my milestones. Claire is sensitive. Claire is dramatic. Claire overreacts. Claire isn't stable. But this time, something was different. This time, I had receipts, and Ethan had just threatened me in writing. I screenshotted the message, saved it, added it to the folder. Then I opened my email and sent Vanessa Cole a short note. Vanessa, I want to make sure I'm fully transparent before my start date. There may be a professional conflict involving a system I created independently and later helped adapt informally for someone else's internal use. I have documentation of authorship and timelines if needed. Best, Claire. I expected worry, maybe hesitation. Instead, she replied 20 minutes later. Claire, thank you for flagging this. Documentation is always wise. Keep everything. Do not delete messages. If anyone attempts to misrepresent your work, we have counsel who can advise. Also, this may interest you. One of our board members previously worked with Ethan's company. Small world. I read that last line 3 times. One of our board members previously worked with Ethan's company. Small world. No, not small. Opening. For years, my family had operated under one assumption. Claire won't do anything. Claire will calm down. Claire will fix it. Claire will protect us. They were right for a long time, but not anymore. At 1:06 p.m., Ethan called again. This time, I answered. His voice was different. Gone was the arrogance. Now there was panic wearing arrogance's clothes. What did you send them? He demanded. Who? Don't play stupid. I'm not playing anything. My boss asked me to explain the model logic. And you know I need the original framework. No, Ethan. You need to understand the work you claimed was yours. He was breathing hard. Claire, listen to me. If this goes badly, I could lose everything. I stood from my desk and walked into an empty conference room. For 1 second, the old instinct rose in me. Help him. Smooth it over. Don't let the family explode. Then I remembered the window, the champagne, the gold balloons, the cake that said, Our pride and joy. I remembered standing outside my own birthday like an unwanted guest. What do you want from me? I asked. I need you to rewrite the explanation. Make it sound like me. There it was. Not apology, not confession, not gratitude, more labor. I leaned against the conference table. No. A silence. Then softer. Claire, please. That was the first please. It should have felt satisfying. It didn't. It felt late. You're going to tell them the truth, I said. He laughed once, sharp and frightened. That's not happening. Then don't call me again. You would really destroy your own brother over a birthday? I closed my eyes. That sentence was so perfectly wrong that I almost admired it. Over a birthday. No, Ethan, not over a birthday. Over a lifetime of being erased. Over the money. Over the work. Over the lies. Over the fact that you could stand in a room full of people and accept praise for something you didn't build while knowing I was outside with a cake no one asked for. But I didn't say all of that. I said, "No, you destroyed yourself because you thought I would always stay quiet." Then I ended the call. By evening, the family group chat had gone silent. That frightened me more than the messages. Silence in my family never meant reflection. It meant strategy. At 8:34 p.m., my mother came to my apartment. She didn't come alone. Lauren was with her. My mother wore her beige coat, the one she put on when she wanted to look delicate and morally superior at the same time. Lauren had her arms crossed before I even opened the door. "Can we come in?" Mom asked. "No." Her expression tightened. "Claire." "No," I repeated. "You can talk from there." Lauren scoffed. "Wow, very mature." I looked at her. "Do you know what Ethan did?" She rolled her eyes. "He asked for help. You're acting like he committed a felony." "He passed off my work as his own." "So what?" Lauren snapped. "You're good at that stuff. He's good with people. That's how family works." I stared at her. That's how family works? One person takes, one person explains why it was okay. My mother raised a hand gently. "Claire, sweetheart, this has gotten out of control." "No, it's gotten visible." Her mouth tightened. "I know you're hurt about your birthday." I laughed quietly. "You still haven't said happy birthday." She blinked. For 1 second, she looked genuinely startled. Then she said, "Happy birthday." No warmth, no regret, just a password she had forgotten to enter. Lauren shook her head. "This is unbelievable." I looked at my sister. "Do you even know how old I turned?" She opened her mouth, closed it. My mother looked away. There it was, the answer. Something inside me settled even deeper. Not sadness this time. Clarity. "You need to leave," I said. Mom's voice dropped. "If you keep doing this, you will break this family." "No," I said. "I'm just refusing to be the glue." Lauren stepped forward. "You think you're better than us now because you have some stupid files?" "No." I looked at both of them. "I think I'm finally done being useful to people who don't love me unless I'm convenient." My mother's eyes filled with tears instantly. She was good at that, turning accountability into injury. "I can't believe you would say that to your mother." I almost softened. Almost. Then my phone buzzed in my hand. A new email from Vanessa. Subject line, "Urgent. Please call me tonight." My stomach dropped. I opened it while my mother and sister stood in the hallway. "Claire, I just received a call from an attorney representing Ethan Whitmore's employer. Your name has come up in connection with the Dashboard Project. They are investigating authorship, internal misrepresentation, and possible financial reporting concerns. Do not respond to anyone from Ethan's company directly until we speak. Also, and I need you to prepare yourself, this appears to involve more than professional credit. There may be money missing." I read the email once, then again. Money missing. My hand tightened around the phone. My mother noticed. "What is it?" she asked. For the first time all evening, her voice sounded afraid. Lauren looked between us. "Claire?" I slowly lifted my eyes. Suddenly, Ethan's panic made sense. The board meeting, the desperate calls, the threats. He hadn't just stolen my work, he had used it to hide something. And now the system I built was uncovering the truth. I looked at my mother standing in my doorway, then at Lauren, then down at the email again. The birthday they forgot had opened a door none of us could close. And on the other side of it was a secret big enough to ruin more than Ethan's promotion. I stepped back and closed the door in their faces. Then I called Vanessa. The moment Vanessa answered, I knew something was wrong. Not because of what she said, because of how quickly she said it. Claire, are you alone? I glanced at the closed apartment door. Yes. Good. Listen carefully. The confidence I had heard during our interview calls was gone. Now she sounded focused, cautious. The company is conducting an internal investigation. My stomach tightened. About Ethan? About several things. I walked slowly toward my kitchen table and sat down. What things? There was a pause. Do you remember the cost monitoring dashboard you built? Of course. The one Ethan presented to senior leadership? Yes. According to preliminary findings, the dashboard flagged irregular spending patterns 3 months ago. I frowned. What kind of irregularities? Vendor payments. The room suddenly felt smaller. Fraud? We don't know yet. But the system noticed it? Yes. Then why wasn't it investigated? Another pause, and somehow that pause scared me more than any answer. Because someone disabled the alerts. I stared at the wall. Disabled. The alerts. The most important part of the entire system. Who? We don't know. But something in her voice told me she already suspected. Claire, Vanessa continued, the board believes someone may have intentionally prevented those reports from reaching management. I felt cold. Very cold. Because suddenly Ethan's panic made sense. Not the promotion. Not the presentation. The investigation. The board meeting. The desperate phone calls. Maybe he wasn't protecting a promotion. Maybe he was protecting himself. There's more, Vanessa said. Of course there was. There was always more. An external auditor found evidence that several contracts were approved without proper review. How much money? Potentially millions. Millions. The word echoed inside my head. I closed my eyes. My brother wasn't brilliant. He wasn't stupid either, but he wasn't capable of orchestrating something that complex alone. Which meant one thing. Someone else was involved. Someone higher up. Someone with influence. Someone who needed Ethan. A convenient face. A convenient signature. A convenient scapegoat. Claire? I'm here. Have you ever seen anything unusual in Ethan's files? I thought back. Months of spreadsheets, reports, late-night calls, emails. Then a memory surfaced. Small, almost insignificant. A folder, one I wasn't supposed to access. I sat upright. Wait. What? There was a folder. What folder? Last winter, Ethan asked me to clean reporting data before a quarterly review. And? There was a restricted vendor folder. Do you remember the name? I opened my laptop. My pulse accelerated. Maybe, just maybe, I still had it, because I saved everything. Every version, every backup, every working file. For years, my family mocked me for being obsessive, for documenting everything, for organizing everything. Now that habit might save me. 5 minutes later, I found it. A screenshot. Old, blurry, but readable. The folder name appeared in the corner. Northbridge Consulting. Vanessa inhaled sharply. Claire. What? That's the company. The company what? The company receiving the suspicious payments. Silence. Neither of us spoke for several seconds. Then she said, Email me that immediately. I did. Within 30 seconds. Then I waited. 1 minute, 2, 3. Finally, my phone rang again. Vanessa. Claire. Her voice sounded different now. What's wrong? Nothing. Then why do you sound like that? Because your screenshot just connected two separate investigations. My heart pounded.
What does that mean?
It means whoever approved those payments knew about the dashboard before leadership did. I stared at the laptop screen, and suddenly another memory surfaced. A conversation. Months earlier, Ethan calling me at midnight, asking strange questions that had seemed harmless at the time. Can executives see the alert history? Can alerts be removed permanently? Who has access to the reporting logs? Back then, I assumed he was curious. Now, I wasn't so sure. Claire? Yeah. You need to be prepared. For what? The company may contact you formally. Why? Because you're not just a witness anymore. My throat tightened. What am I? You may be the person who can prove when the system was altered. I leaned back in my chair. For years I had been invisible, ignored, overlooked, forgotten. Now suddenly everyone wanted to know what I knew. Funny how that worked. The next morning, things got worse. Much worse. Because Ethan showed up. At my office, unannounced. I spotted him through the glass lobby doors before he saw me. He looked exhausted. His suit was wrinkled. His eyes were red. For the first time in my life, he looked like someone who didn't know how to charm his way out of a problem. I considered leaving through another exit. Instead, I walked toward him. He saw me, immediately stood. Claire. Ethan. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then he lowered his voice. We need to talk. We already did. No, we really need to talk. Something about his tone stopped me. Fear. Real fear. Not annoyance. Not entitlement. Fear. What happened? I asked. His eyes darted around the lobby. Not here. I should have walked away. I know that now. But curiosity is powerful, especially when your life has suddenly become part of a mystery. 10 minutes later, we sat across from each other in a quiet coffee shop. Neither of us touched our drinks. Ethan looked terrible. Finally, he said, I didn't steal any money. Not hello, not sorry, not happy birthday, just, I didn't steal any money. I stared at him. Interesting place to start. Because that's what everyone thinks. Did you? No. Then who did? His jaw tightened. I don't know. I didn't believe him, not completely, but I did believe one thing. He was scared, very scared. Then why are investigators looking at you? Because my name is on everything. There it was, the answer, the promotion, the presentations, praise. His name was everywhere, which meant if something went wrong, his name would be everywhere too. You knew the alerts were disabled. It wasn't a question. His face changed, just slightly, enough. You knew, I repeated. I didn't disable them. But you knew. He looked away, and in that moment I realized something. The Golden Child wasn't running the operation. He was protecting someone he was terrified of. Who? He didn't answer. Who, Ethan? Still nothing. Then his phone vibrated. The color drained from his face. I saw the caller ID. Dad. Our father. Something cold crawled up my spine, because Ethan didn't look annoyed. He looked afraid. Truly afraid. He declined the call immediately. I noticed. He noticed me noticing. And suddenly, neither of us said a word, because for the first time, a possibility entered my mind. A possibility I had never considered. What if Ethan wasn't protecting himself? What if he was protecting our father? The thought sounded ridiculous, impossible, yet something about it fit. The money, the panic, the pressure, the years of financial problems Dad always somehow escaped. The emergency loans, the disappearing cash, the constant explanations. I stared at Ethan, slowly, carefully. "Who are you covering for?" His eyes met mine, and for one brief second, I got my answer. Not from his words, from his silence. Then he stood up. "Claire, tell me. You need to stop digging." "Why?" His voice dropped to almost a whisper. "Because if this comes out," he swallowed, then finished the sentence, "it won't just destroy me." And before I could ask another question, he walked out of the coffee shop, leaving me alone, leaving my untouched coffee on the table, leaving one terrifying question spinning through my mind. If Ethan wasn't the real target of the investigation, then who was? And why was my father suddenly acting like a man with something to hide? I didn't sleep that night, not because I was afraid, because for the first time in years, I couldn't predict what came next. All my life, my family had been simple to understand. Dad protected Ethan. Mom protected Dad. Lauren protected whoever held the most power. And me? I was expected to protect everyone. But now the pattern was breaking, and once patterns break, secrets start falling out. The next morning, I received a call from an attorney representing Ethan's company. Not a threat, not an accusation, an invitation. They wanted me to attend a confidential meeting. The board had reviewed the original development records for the dashboard. My records, my files, my timestamps, my emails. The evidence was overwhelming. There was no longer any doubt about who built the system. But that wasn't why they wanted me there. They wanted to know what I knew about Northbridge Consulting, the company receiving suspicious payments, the company connected to the missing money, the company connected to my father. That afternoon, I walked into a conference room overlooking downtown. 5 people were already seated. 2 attorneys, an external auditor, a board member, and Vanessa. The atmosphere felt different from every family argument I'd ever survived. Nobody was emotional. Nobody was yelling. Nobody was manipulating. These people followed facts, and facts don't care who the favorite child is. The auditor began. "We have identified approximately $2.8 million in questionable transfers." My chest tightened. 2.8 million. The number sounded unreal. Then she continued. The transfers were approved through a chain of vendor contracts connected to Northbridge Consulting. She clicked a button. A series of documents appeared on the screen. Invoices, contracts, approval records, signatures. I immediately recognized one of them. Dad's signature. For several seconds, nobody spoke. I stared at it. My father's name, right there, black ink, official, undeniable. The board member leaned forward. Mr. Whitmore was not an employee of the company. However, he served as an outside advisor on several projects. I almost laughed. Advisor. That was a very polite word. What they meant was influence, access, trust. The perfect cover. The auditor continued. We believe Northbridge was created primarily to route money through a series of approved consulting agreements. My mouth felt dry. So Ethan knew? The room became quiet. The attorney answered carefully. We believe Ethan became aware of irregularities later. Not the mastermind. Not innocent either. Exactly what I had started to suspect. The Golden Child hadn't built the scheme, he had protected it. Protected Dad. Protected the image of the family. Protected the lie. And now everything was collapsing. The meeting lasted almost 3 hours. By the time it ended, one thing was clear. The company was preparing legal action. My father was under investigation, and Ethan's promotion was already being reviewed. The board member stopped me before I left. "Claire." I turned. He extended a hand. "Your dashboard uncovered all of this." I shook it. "You built something important." Simple words, but they hit harder than I expected. Because my entire life, I had been told my value existed only in relation to someone else. Someone else's success. Someone else's needs. Someone else's future. Now, for the first time, someone was recognizing my work as my work. Not Ethan's. Mine. 3 days later, my father called. 42 times. I answered on the 43rd, not because I wanted to, because I was tired of wondering what he would say. The moment I picked up, he exploded. "What have you done?" No greeting, no concern, no apology, just anger. I looked out my office window. The city stretched beneath me. For years that voice had intimidated me. Not anymore. "I didn't do anything." "You destroyed this family." There it was, the familiar accusation, the one always aimed at the person exposing the problem rather than the person creating it. "No," my voice stayed calm. "You did." Silence. Then he laughed bitterly. "You always wanted this." "Wanted what?" "To prove you were better than your brother." I closed my eyes. Even now, even after everything, he still couldn't see me. Not really. Only the version of me that fit his story. "Dad." "What?" "I wanted a birthday card." The silence that followed felt endless. "I wanted you to show up at my graduation." Nothing. "I wanted you to remember my promotions." Still nothing. I wanted one day where I wasn't treated like an extra in Ethan's life. For the first time, his voice sounded old, tired, small. "Claire." But I wasn't finished. "Do you know what's funny?" He didn't answer. "I spent years thinking Ethan was the reason." My throat tightened. But he wasn't. The truth hurt more than the lie, because Ethan had been the favorite. But my father had built the system, the rules, the hierarchy, the favoritism, the expectations. Everything. "You taught us this family only had room for one success story." His breathing grew heavier. Then, quietly, "I did what I thought was best." And there it was, the sentence that destroys more families than cruelty ever could. I did what I thought was best. Not evil, not hatred, just years of choices justified by love. The most dangerous kind. We never spoke again after that conversation. Not really. A few texts, a few legal updates. Nothing meaningful. Some endings arrive with screaming. Others arrive with silence. Mine arrived with silence. 2 months later, Ethan called. This time, I answered immediately. Not because I forgave him, because I wanted closure. He sounded different. No arrogance, no performance, just tired. They terminated me. I wasn't surprised. The company had determined he knowingly misrepresented authorship and ignored warning signs. Not criminal, but enough. His career was damaged, his reputation worse. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Then he surprised me. "Happy birthday." I blinked. "What?" He laughed softly. I missed it. A strange lump formed in my throat. I noticed. I know. Another pause, then, I'm sorry. No excuses, no explanations, just sorry. It should have happened years earlier, but late was still better than never. Why now? I asked. He exhaled. Because I finally realized something. What? The family wasn't built around me. I waited. It was built around Dad. For the first time in our lives, we were looking at the same truth, and somehow that mattered. Months passed. Then more. The investigation ended. The legal process moved forward. My father accepted a settlement agreement. Northbridge disappeared. The money was recovered. The story quietly vanished from public attention. Most scandals do. But my life didn't return to normal. It became better, much better. Meridian promoted me twice in 18 months. The dashboard became part of a national operational analytics platform. The equity package I almost didn't accept became worth more money than I had ever imagined. Not lottery money, not movie money, real wealth. The kind built slowly, the kind nobody can take away, the kind earned. And 1 year later, my birthday arrived again. I woke up expecting nothing. Old habits die slowly. Then my phone started vibrating. Messages, calls, emails, friends, colleagues, people who genuinely cared. Not because they needed something, because they wanted to celebrate me. By noon, my office was filled with flowers. By evening, I was surrounded by people who knew my story. Not the family version, the real one. Vanessa was there, several coworkers, friends I'd made during the hardest year of my life. Someone brought out a cake. A beautiful one, 3 layers, white frosting, gold lettering. For a second, I couldn't breathe, because it reminded me of that night, the night outside my parents' house, the night I stood alone holding a cheap cake no one else remembered, the night everything changed. Someone handed me a knife. Everyone smiled, waiting. I looked around the room, then down at the cake, and suddenly I understood something that had taken me 33 years to learn. The forgotten birthday wasn't the tragedy. It was the beginning. If my family had remembered that birthday, I probably would have stayed, kept helping, kept fixing, kept shrinking, kept waiting for people to become who they had already shown me they weren't. Instead, they forgot. Again. And in forgetting me, they accidentally gave me my life. I smiled, made a wish, and this time, when everyone sang my name, nobody forgot it.